Contempt Chapter 2. It was her first day at work in an area which she had never even thought of working, securities. Ariana had landed a job as an office coordinator at Sahara Securities. That was a glamorized name for office manager. She knew all about managing and functioning in the role of a supervisor, but there was something different about this. Her boss required her to read and proof all of his documents, even sensitive information. She had signed a confidentiality agreement, so that was not a problem. The only problem was there were times that she could not get the documents out of her head. She had a photographic memory, which she discovered as a child. This was something that she definitely kept to herself. Her boss was handsome. He was definitely prize material, but she had to keep her focus. She remembered what her mother and her grandmother said, never sleep where you eat. There was something about him, his charisma. He must be a prince in his country. His name just rolled. Mahmoud Latif. He was into several businesses as well as subsidiaries that he operated for his family back home. She always just wondered. No one ever said anything about his family. She never saw a wife or even received a phone call from a relative. Was he just there by himself? See, that was the kind of thinking that attracted the nosy spirit. Just leave it alone, Ariana, she thought to herself. Just then, her phone rang. Ariana, could you step into my office? Asked Mahmoud. I'll be right there, replied Ariana. She wondered, what was that all about? He hardly ever asked her to come into his office unless it was important. Ariana, have a seat. How is everything going for you since you moved to New York? Everything is going fine, she answered nervously. Where was this going, she wondered. You like the job okay? Everything is good, Mr. Latif, she replied. She never called him by his first name. It was just a matter of respect with her. She was old school in a young world. She believed in giving honor where honor was due. But this line of questioning was interesting to her, and of course, she wondered where it was going. Ariana, to be honest, I'm really asking these questions because of an associate of mine has noticed you and is intrigued. He wants to ask you out on a date, but I guess that he needed me to feel you out. I am really not accustomed to doing these types of things, as you should well know. I understand, and I'm wondering about this as you speak because you have never inquired about anything concerning me, replied Ariana. Anyway, here are some important documents that I need you to review for my signature and deliver to Kazukai Technology to a gentleman by the name of Tristan Jardance. Are you setting me up on the sly? No, he is not even the one who asked about you. All right, we'll see. She walked to her desk thinking, now that was really awkward. She always remembered to be quiet and observe because time tells it all. As she left the building, she decided to make a stop to purchase something from the drugstore. Looking in the window, she thought she saw someone. She wasn't sure. Something came over her. It had been a year since she had that feeling. She had made sure that she would not be found. Maybe he did find her and was just waiting. She looked over her shoulder as she descended into the train station. She knew in her heart that she could not go through that again. Finding the building was not a problem, but getting in sure was. She had to show her ID 3 or 4 times before she could get to the elevator. Security here was tight. As she was approaching the elevators, she heard someone call her name. "Miss Komi-sung," he said. Turning around to look back to see who was calling her, and before she could open her mouth to say yes, she was struck by what her eyes saw. There was an extraordinarily handsome man. His features were so exotic that she did not know what to say. Standing there stunned, she heard her name again. "Are you Ariana Komi-sung?" "Yes," replied Ariana. "Please excuse me, and you are?" "I am Tristan Jare Danse. I have been expecting you, and I have come to meet you as I was informed that you were going through so much red tape to get upstairs to see me. It is a standard procedure as we are a global technology firm. I will secure your clearance for future visits so that you will be in the system and not be hassled." "Thanks," replied Ariana. The elevator doors opened, and she entered. As she held the door for her, but her arm brushed gently against his. She did not even want to look at him. He was just simply too gorgeous. There was a battle going on in her mind as well as her flesh. She needed to stay focused on the assignment that she was given. "You have a very unusual last name," said Tristan. "What is its origin, may I ask?" "Do you mean what country?" asked Ariana. "Yes. Actually, I'm not really sure. You know how America is a melting pot of immigrants, and your parents and their parents all come from somewhere? What about yours?" "Oh, that's a long story," replied Tristan. The doors opened, and he held them again, but she made sure that she did not have any physical contact this time. Whew! She had not felt like this in a very long time. Whew! Just made it through that one. If he only knew that her name came from a newspaper from some country. It was an amazing idea at the time of changing her identity. She did not want to think it through. She just wanted to escape. Right now, she needed to stay focused. She paused and waited for him to lead the way. Walking behind him, she watched his stride. He was cool, and he knew it. He stopped at his secretary's desk to check messages and introduced her. She just wanted to make the delivery and return to the office. This was one trip that was definitely one that would be remembered. "Come on in and have a seat," said Tristan. "Now, tell me how it is that you've come to work for Mahmoud." As she sat down, she took the time to view his office and the view that he had of the city. "Nice view," said Ariana. "Actually, I used a headhunter. Being new to the city and the industry, I thought that was best." "Oh, you're new in our town. I'll have to show you some of the sights," said Tristan. "I don't think so," she said. She was nervous about this whole meeting from the start and wondered where this was going. She took out the document and presented it to him for his signature while he was talking, as if to divert his attention. "Why not?" he replied. Meanwhile, he took the documents in his hand and had an intense stare as he looked at her. "Not to offend you, Mr. Jare Danse. Is that the correct pronunciation?" she asked. "But I don't know you. And I don't think Mr. Latif would approve. I think that it is in the best interest of all that we maintain the professional boundaries. Not a problem. I completely understand your apprehension, said Tristan. He signed the documents and handed them to her. Thanks for your understanding, said Ariana. She placed the document back in the folder quickly without even checking it. She was in a rush to leave. You did not check to see if I signed on the right line. He continued to look at her very intensely, and she felt as if he was looking through her. I trust that you would know what to do, as there are many papers that pass over your desk daily, replied Ariana with a hint of sarcasm. Sometimes I do make a mistake. She was growing weary of this conversation as she had her walls up. She extended her hand to shake his, as that would be the appropriate thing to do for professionalism. It was good to meet you, and thank you for meeting me in the lobby, said Ariana. No problem. I'll be seeing you again, replied Tristan. She turned to walk out of his office and down the hall. She knew that he was watching her, and she knew that he was one that Mahmoud was setting her up with. Don't know why, but there is something up, and she wasn't in it. She continued her stroll to the elevator and paused. She was not about to look back at him because she knew he was standing there waiting. She could just feel it. Not today.